I have established an exploratory committee to pursue the possibility of my running for the presidency of the United States as a Republican in the 2020 election. I encourage those of you who are watching the current administration nervously but saying nothing to stand up and speak out when lines are crossed in dangerous ways. We cannot sit passively as our precious democracy slips quietly into darkness.
That's former Republican governor of Massachusetts and 2016 Libertarian Party vice presidential candidate Bill Weld. He's the first Republican to officially consider a primary challenge to the president, and he joins us now. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Martha.
It's been a long time since I covered your governor's race back there in Massachusetts. Now you're exploring a run for president as a Republican. Our latest ABC News Washington Post poll showed the president maintains a 78% approval rating among Republicans. The Republican National Committee passed a pledge to give Trump its undivided support. So what is your path forward here? Can you really get the support needed?
Well, I think the Republicans in Washington want to have no election, basically. I don't think that would be very good for the country, and I have a lot of views of how the president is acting in office. I don't think he knows how to act. He thinks he has to humiliate whoever he's dealing with, or else he's half a man. The emergency declaration is just one example of that. Congress thought they had a deal. He says, "Oh, you think you have a deal? I'm going to show you a deal. I'm going to show you who's boss." It's just no way to run a railroad.
So, what is your path forward?
Well, I'm going to make clear that I think the president is reckless in spending. They're spending $1 trillion a year they don't have. That is going to crush Generation Xers and millennials in this country. They're not thinking ahead. 25% of the jobs in the country are about to disappear because of artificial intelligence and robotics and drones and machine learning and autonomous vehicles. Nobody's planning ahead for that, and it would entail a lot of work to make sure that the people who lose those jobs get the skill sets to get the replacement jobs when they show up at around the same time. If we play that right with our educational system, the people that lose those jobs could wind up with higher wages than they had before. If we don't do anything, then the door to the middle class is going to be shut on the working poor, which would be very bad for the country as a whole. That's the sort of thing they're not paying attention to in Washington because they're so busy with divisiveness and trying to make everyone feel awful.
Your former press secretary told the Boston Globe, if the goal is defeating Trump, the best option is for him to run as a Republican because primary challenges he means you, have historically weakened sitting presidents. So is it your ultimate goal to weaken President Trump for the general election rather than beating him in a primary?
No, not rather than beating him, but it is part of my thinking to make sure that he doesn't repeat. We don't have 6 more years of the antics, frankly, that, for want of a better word, that we've seen the last 2 years. I think that would be bad for the country, and I don't care who knows it.
You know, we talk about Republican support and approval among Republicans, but what do you say to the hardcore Trump supporters who think he's done a great job on national security, on the economy, on so many, and likely on the wall? What's the case you'll make?
Done a great job on the wall. He's flung it about.
I'm saying let's talk about his supporters, his base of supporters. What do you say to them?
I would say his whole hyper-emphasis on the wall is pure politics on his part, and it's vintage on what he has done since he entered this race. He wants to divide the country and hold up scary boogeymen that everyone else can think only he can save us. It's part of a plan, I think, on his part to make himself seem indispensable. He's not indispensable at all. People, getting through between the fences that are already on the border with Mexico are not a national emergency, and they're not a major national security threat to the United States. And I think everyone who studies the situation knows that, but it's pure rhetoric on his part without anything behind it.
The GOP chair from your home state of Massachusetts issued this statement after you announced, noting some of your past stances, and of course you were a libertarian before, and said you would be for life, and now you're a Republican. Weld is the same ex-Republican who deserted Massachusetts for New York, who endorsed President Barack Obama over Senator McCain for president, who renounced the GOP for the Libertarian Party, who ran against the Trump-Pence Republican ticket while cozying up to Hillary Clinton. even Benedict Arnold switched allegiances less often. So how do you convince that Republican base? I know what you're trying to do here this morning, but they see that record and think you don't stand for the party.
I'm not going to convince a Republican state chair, because they're all under enormous pressure and orders from Washington. Make sure this guy gets no purchase. Make sure we don't really have a primary. We want to sail through this without anyone having to think or analyze issues. I think it's not what the country needs, to put it mildly.
Okay, you got a lot of work ahead of you, Governor. It's great to see
Thank
you
you,
always.
Martha.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.